What's up everyone, it's Brian from the Wannabe Homesteader, and today I was going to show you guys how to do a zero-based budget for your personal finances. Me and Stephanie have been using this for a while now and it works really good. So some people have asked about it, mainly just family and friends, so I figured I'd make a little tutorial video here. But basically what a zero-based budget is let's say you make $1,600 every 2 weeks, or you get paid $1,600 every 2 weeks. Basically you're going to allocate all this money every 2 weeks, and it's best to do it the day you get paid or the day after. You're going to allocate all that money down to zero. So let's say you get paid on the 15th. The 15th or the 16th, you're going to have, as far as your budget goes, or your checking account budget, you're gonna have $0. And I'll kind of show you how that works. It sounds kind of scary, but it works really good. So let's set up. Let's say your rent is $700. Utilities, that includes power, internet, and phone, all that stuff, is $200. And these are just numbers I'm kind of picking up off the top of my head. Let's say fuel for your car is $100. We actually have a clothing category, but you can set this up however you need to. We have a clothing, let's say you spend $40 on that. We have a Christmas category or envelope. Let's say you want to spend $1,200 on that, so that would be $100 per month. This is per month, by the way. Let's say you have maybe a baby. You want to have a baby category for $40. Maybe you have a couple of pets, and you want to buy their food, buy their flea medication, and all their pet visits. Let's say it costs $40 a month. And let's say you want to have a fun envelope, which is, let's say you want to spend $60 a month on just fun stuff. It's up to you. If you don't have any debt and you have plenty of extra money, you can adjust these however you see fit. You can add stuff however you want to do it. So basically for 2 weeks, we're going to cut this in half. So 350, 100, 50, 20, 50, 20, 20, 30. So that's 450, 500, 570, 590, 640. So that's going to be $640 that you have on normal, everyday expenditures. We actually forgot food. Let's just put food in there. Let's say food. I don't have food in here, right? Yeah. So let's say groceries would be $400 a month. So that would be, so we'll say 200. So that's going to be $840. So your normal expenditures every 2 weeks are going to be $840. Alright, so let's say you have some debt that you're trying to pay off. Which, if you have a lot of debt, this system's really going to help you a lot. But you should probably do this anyway, because if you do your budget like this and you add it to the envelope system, which I'm going to show you, you're going to feel like you got a pay raise, because you're going to find a lot of money you didn't know you had. So let's say for debt you have a car that's $10K payoff. Student loan, let's say 15. I'm just kind of making up numbers here. Let's say you have a couple credit cards. Credit card number 1 is $3K, and credit card number 2 is $2K. We'll say the minimum payment on the car, this is going to be like a month basically, minimum monthly payment. We'll say $260, $160. Credit cards, minimum's like really low because they want you to have the debt for a long time. So we'll say 60 and 40. So the 2 weeks is going to be 130, 80, 30, and 20. So that's going to come up to, say, 210, 260. So your minimum payment is going to be $260 every month, minimum payment. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this $1,600 that you get paid every 2 weeks. You're going to take the $840 out of that. So that's going to be $750. You got $750 left over. And then you minus the $260 for your debt. And that's going to be $490. Hopefully none of my math is wrong, but if it is, you get the idea. So you have $490 left over every 2 weeks to do whatever you need to do with it. If you have debt, you need to save for an emergency fund, you need to get survival supplies, whatever you think you should do. Personally, me and Steph think the number one step for self-sufficiency is getting out of debt, basically. But it's up to you. I mean, everybody's different. So you're going to have this $490 left over. And what you're basically going to do, don't worry about the interest rates on this stuff. Because you're going to be, if you're going to do like a debt snowball thing, you're going to be paying it off so fast, the interest rate's not going to matter. So you're going to take that $490 and you're going to add this $490 to the minimum payment of credit card number 2 because it's the lowest balance. You're going to try to tackle that lowest balance and then work your way up. So your credit card payment on that is going to be $510 because you add the $490 to your minimum. So it's going to be $510. But basically, after you add this, you get 0. You have 0 left over. And that's where the zero-based budget comes in. So you get paid every $1,600 every 2 weeks, and then you need to allocate this money as fast as you can. And that's the key. I think personally that's the key, is to get it allocated, do the budget. You know, whether it's the wife or the husband doing the budget, whoever does the budget, go ahead and allocate that money out. And then these categories over here are what you're going to use for the envelope systems. And I made some envelopes, and this is how we do the envelopes. And personally, I think that these two go together, the envelope system and the zero-based budget. So you're going to have, for each one of these categories, you're going to have an envelope sort of like this. So like fun, we have the $30, and you're going to do it every pay period. So you're going to cash an $840 check at the bank every 2 weeks, and you're going to get it in various bills so you can split this up. I think we get it in 50s, 20s, and 10s. So you're going to add $30 to the fun envelope. You're going to add $20 to the pet envelope, and so forth and so on, until you fill all your envelopes up. And then after you fill all your envelopes up, you're going to have 0 of this left over. And then for that 2 weeks, this is where you spend all your money at. So you never use your checking or your debit card. You never write checks out of the account because you're busting the account down to 0. The only other tip that I would give, if one of these categories is not local, like it's not somewhere where you could drive up and pay cash. Now paying cash is a little less convenient, but I swear it's going to save you probably $200-300, depending on how much you make, maybe $400, $500, $600 a month. You're going to think you got a pretty substantial raise. But if any of these categories are not local, you don't have to put them in an envelope. Just when you get paid, just make sure you go ahead and write that check out. And that minuses it from the account so you can get this account down to 0. And when I say 0, you might want to leave yourself a little buffer in the account. So don't over withdraw. I mean, leave $50 in there. Go ahead and set you up a $50 buffer or something. That way you don't have an over withdrawal if you make a mistake. If your bill comes in and it's $200 and you write $201, if you got 0, it's going to give you an overdraft. So give you a little bit of a buffer. But let's say you deposit $1,600, you're going to have $1,650 in your account. So you want to draw that account down to $50, which is essentially the zero-based budget. So basically, this is how the envelope system works. So you're going to fill these up with cash, and if you live in an apartment building where your office is in the complex, you're going to take that cash and you're going to put it in the envelope. And when you get paid the next time, you're going to put that cash in the envelope, and you're going to have that $700. You're going to take that $700. You're going to walk down to the apartment complex office, and you're going to pay them, get your receipt. Utilities, same thing. If it's local, if somewhere somewhat convenient, you're going to go down to there, pay them cash, and get a receipt. And what I do is, my utilities are about $200 a month, and that's kind of where I got this figure. I just give them $200. If my utility bill comes up to, including water, power, and whatever other utilities, if it comes up under $200, I just give them the whole $200. And then after a few months, you're going to have a little surplus in there, and then maybe you won't have to pay a power bill 1 month. Car, this is whenever you fill your gas. This is probably the worst one that I thought was the most inconvenient, because you have to go into the gas station to pay. So you walk in there, you give them $40 or whatever it is to fill up your car. Clothing, this money kind of sits around a little bit. You're not going to, obviously the Christmas fund you're not going to use ever, hopefully until Christmas, if you do everything correctly. Clothing is just kind of an as needed basis. The baby, you might have to buy diapers, whatever. Pet, dog food, like I said, flea medicine, whatever that. And then fun, if you want to go to the movies, the park, go visit family, anything that is kind of, out of the ordinary that you think would be kind of a leisurely type thing, you can have an envelope like this. My wife and I have been doing this for about December will be 4 years, and I think 5 months. And we have paid off $61,000. And that'll actually be our debt-free month, I think. We're gonna be running it pretty tight there, so hopefully it's December. It'll be a nice little Christmas present. But it'll be $61,000 total. We'll be completely debt free. We rent, so we don't own a home. The next step we're gonna do is gonna be paying cash for property. We've made up our minds that we'll never, borrow money again. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think Stephanie's probably going to do a post about this, so if there's anything I left out, she'll put it in the post on the blog, so you can check that out. If you're checking it out on YouTube, go to the blog post, and if there's anything, any other tips or something that I left out, we'll put them in there. And then if anybody has any questions at all about this, put a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, put a comment down. I'll answer every single question. I like helping people on this because I know this works. So if you do this, I know it'll work for you. You just kind of got to stick with it. And just a little side note, is this when you first do this budget, it's going to take you about 3 months to get it right. You're going to be adjusting these numbers maybe up or down for about 3 months. So 6 pay periods. Because you might think, you put 100 or you put 50 in your fuel envelope, and you're going to think, that's not near enough to cover my fuel costs. So you're going to up that maybe to 75 or whatever. So just give yourself 3 months if you're going to try this to get the budget. Once you get it like we haven't changed ours in probably, I can't remember, maybe a couple of years. Once we got it, we stuck to it. And we hardly ever adjust the prices after, but at first we were adjusting all over the place. So just give yourself maybe 3, 4 months to get the budget right. And then another thing I may have left out is if you have debt and you want to do the debt snowball, make sure the first thing you do is save $2,000 first. That's kind of an emergency fund. Once you got that $2,000 saved, you can cut up all your credit cards. You can, do away with all that stuff, because this $2K is pretty much going to cover any emergency that you probably possibly have. Transmission, engine, your axle falls out of your car, or whatever. Your AC goes out. And I know a lot of people argue, well, if your AC goes out, that could cost, $5,000-$6,000. Well, window units don't cost $5,000 or $6,000, but it's all on how much you want to sacrifice. If you want to up that, that's fine. If you want to go to 4K, but that's going to be step number 1. And then step number 2 will be attacking the debt. And then obviously the debt snowball, the way it works is once you pay this one off, you're going to take that $510 and roll it into the $30 minimum payment, so that now your debt snowball is up to $540. And you're just going to keep rolling that up, working from smallest to largest. So that's pretty much it. I do want to give credit where credit is due. This is obviously not my idea. Dave Ramsey is the guy that kind of put all this together. So DaveRamsey.com if you want to check that out. I don't want to act like I'm the genius here, because I'm definitely not, but I've done it enough to where I can give pretty good advice, and I know this works for a fact. So any questions, leave it in the comments below, or leave it on the comments in the blog. And if there's any other kind of tidbits, we'll leave it in the blog post. And make sure you like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, and hope to hear from you guys. Take care.